So, when it comes to the national debt, money, banking, all these things, I and everybody else realize that the government is not a household. The government and the household are two separate things. However, and I'm going on this train of thought because Mike Norman did a few videos. And Mike Norman, if you don't know, was one of the guys who was featured in Peter Schiff Was Right. Like around 2008, this viral video went out called Peter Schiff Was Right, where Mike Norman was laughing at Peter Schiff, and Mike Norman was, saying that the housing is not going to go down, and Mike Norman was really wrong in that video. However, the last few years, Mike Norman has been right about many things, and Peter Schiff has been wrong about many things. So I see a lot of these, analysts are kind of cyclical in nature. There might be a period of time where Mike Norman gets lots of stuff wrong, and there's another period of time where Mike Norman gets lots of things right. I think that Mike Norman understood what the bailouts and stimulus would do to the economy. I think he understood that. And I don't think that Peter Schiff understood what those things would do. That being said, before the stimulus and bailouts happened, I think that Peter Schiff knew what was going to happen and Mike Norman didn't. So it's kind of like each one of those analysts understands one aspect, but not the whole aspect. And in the last few years, we have been living in a bailout stimulus world. So that's why Mike Norman was just owning Peter Schiff. Okay, so going back to my train of thought. So part of the premise that we're hearing from Mike Norman, people who believe what he's saying, is that the national debt doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you can borrow a lot of money. The government can borrow a lot of money and never pay it back. That it is not immoral to do so. In fact, that belief is that it is immoral not to do so. We're all better off for it, and there's no consequences, right? So, in the last few years, the level of government spending has been ramped up, but there's no negative consequences. That's kind of the theory that we're hearing, is there's really no negative consequences for what's happening. And we're living in a world the last few years where you have all kinds of bailouts, all kinds of government stimulus, all kinds of deficit spending, and this is all good and fine, and it's all going to work itself out, and there's no consequences. And that it doesn't matter. I mean, historically speaking, governments have never paid back all their debt. And the theory is that doesn't matter. They never have to. And I think for a lot of people, that's a big stretch. That's a big stretch, a big leap for most people to take. Looking at history, what historically speaking, what has happened, and has it been okay in the past, and has something new materialized in this era where now we have these really great computers backed by these really great theories where it will all work itself out? That's kind of the questions that are being raised. And when in 2008, I was I didn't think that the Mike Normans could be right. And for the last few years, he has been right, but he was wrong before that on topics. So Mike Norman's new video, one of his latest videos, he says the Republicans are going to ruin it all because they're not going to expand the debt ceiling, and the economy's we're going to go into a downward spiral and deflation and these things, right? So I guess the point is that this current model requires that the government keeps borrowing more and more. They don't have to pay it back, and there's really no problem with that. And we're all going to have prosperity because of that. And that is kind of a lot for me to swallow. Because if that's true, how come all these previous empires didn't fail? We have the cycle of empire. And maybe the response is, well, this is a part of the cycle of empire. yeah, it's all gonna go blow up. It's all gonna blow up in the future at some time. But maybe like the Roman Empire, you go on for many eras, many decades, even centuries doing this, knowing it's gonna implode, but not in your lifetime. I have to say I'm kind of at a loss for this, and I know a lot of people who come to these YouTube channels because they don't believe a lot of the pundits like who talk like this, and they say that doesn't make sense. I know that we're not that the government is not a household, and you don't treat household debt the same as government debt, and it's a different animal. But if the debt ceiling isn't raised and it kind of causes a downward spiral like Mike Norman's predicting, maybe there is something wrong with this model to begin with, or maybe, I mean, it's almost like Mike is saying that these Republicans are immoral because they're not allowing the debt ceiling to be raised forever. And I know the theory is at some point the economy is all going to fix itself, but from my perception, it seems that we're kind of caught in an infinite loop with this, with what's going on, but the economy really can't be magically fixed like this. But I've learned that to give absolute statements on this, to say I'm absolutely right, is kind of a folly. Because since 2008 to 2014, things didn't work out the way that I had estimated they would to begin with. So yes, I'm not going to make absolute statements, but I don't know. What Mike Norman is saying is kind of a lot to swallow. All right, thanks for watching.